in the long run. As we've
Yeah.
mentioned, this is a marathon and not a sprint. And two of our sprinters, or two of our marathon runners here, is going to be Grzegorz Kowalski versus Reid Duke, who are ready to duke it out, pun intended,
Very
and
nice.
get things underway here. Take a look at these opening hands. Growth spirals, fatal pushes, thought seizes are plenty for Reid Duke, as well as Nisu shakes the world, that powerful planeswalker. On the other side of it, we've got our Solemnity, but no 9 lives just yet. But Thoughtseize going to take a look in the hand here and pick apart Kowalski's combo. Now, what do you pick if you're Reid Duke?
So I think the options here are take Rest in Peace to protect your Uro Titan of Nature's Wrath, or take Guardian Idol. I think the Solemnities, unless you really plan on, getting lucky and drawing another Thoughtseize, I don't think that's what you want to take. But I think it's either, do you want to protect Uro or kind of slow down this prison style deck? I like
Yeah.
that pick.
All right, another Solemnity off the top here. So maybe a little flooded in that department is Kowalski, but Rest in Peace is going to be the first thing to hit the battlefield and exile the graveyards.
Yeah, counters are not going to be added to things this game. That is pretty clear so far with Kowalski's hand.
×3 indeed. Ooh, Grafdigger's Cage. So even more graveyard hate here for Kowalski, as Solemnity hits the battlefield in response. Growth Spiral on the stack, and we'll get one of these lands down on the battlefield, helping Reid Duke ramp up. You can fire off a second Growth Spiral too.
All the value coming down here.
Yeah, you like land? You like Nissa on turn, what is this, 3 or 4? Sure, here you go. Go for it.
Yeah, great start here for Reid. Being able to get Nissa down. Rest in Peace shutting down Uro here is going to be pretty huge as well. Kowalski's deck is just so unique here, being the only player to be playing this 9 lives combo deck. Really cool to see.
Yeah, and a lot of people wouldn't have expected something like this to be, to be brought to a tournament. So, oh, here we go, combo time. 9 lives on the battlefield. You can't get counters.
Yes.
So now Reid Duke has to get one of these cards off the battlefield. So enchantment removal is necessary. If
Absolutely.
he doesn't have it, it's just going to be a battle of attrition here. It's like, oh, you want to draw cards and do things? Well, I don't really care what you're doing. You can hit my face as much as you like, but unless you get rid of my enchantments, you ain't winning this game.
Exactly. It's going to be really tough here. I do see like Maelstrom Pulse in the list, but outside of that, it really doesn't look like Reid Duke has any other way to take Solemnity off the battlefield here. And just look at this. Even Nissa we saw Reid Duke just tick up Nissa and not target a land because Solemnity, that does not work. And now we see Krasis here just go straight to the graveyard. You still get to draw the cards, which is nice, but man, this card just seems so good against these Sultai decks.
Yeah, it's looking really, really strong here for Kowalski now, as the only thing I can imagine Reid Duke doing is getting Nissa up to ultimate and getting as many forests out of the deck as possible to try and find Maelstrom Pulse. But now Grafdigger's Cage is going to put a spanner in the works there, as Field of Ruin takes care of the card draw engine in Castle Lochthwain.
Yeah, I can't imagine Reid Duke did too much testing against the 9 lives combos deck, so I'm sure he's learning all this stuff on the fly, and that's one of the big advantages of playing these new decks. We saw it last round with Kai Buddha playing that really cool Sultai combo deck, and it just comes down to people not knowing exactly how to play against the deck, and that does hold some value, especially in these early turns.
Yeah. Arch of Araska now down. City's Blessing gained. Here comes Uro, Titan of Nature's Wrath off the top of the library. So Kowalski's looking very good at the moment, able to dig through his library, just clutter up this battlefield even more than it is at the moment.
Yeah, looking really solid so far. You can imagine that games 2 and 3 get a little bit better for everyone against Kowalski's deck. But right now, I mean, as far as I'm seeing, I see 2 cards that really matter in this matchup for Reid Duke. And he's got to find one before he can do anything of value here.
He does at that. And now, if you're Reid Duke, would you consider, just getting in at the life total here of Kowalski in the instance that you're able to get one of these enchantments off the battlefield? Or is it no real rush?
I would say no real rush here. Kowalski's deck is not rushing to the finish line either by any means. So I think you got plenty of time. Set up a good game plan. Line up a couple of thought seizes to take Solemnities out of Kowalski's hand, and then hope to hit the one Solemnity on the battlefield with a pulse. I think that's what should be the plan here if you're Reid Duke.
All right, so digging even further with Uro, Titan of Nature's Wrath, finds another Nissa who shakes the world, so no Maelstrom Pulse just yet. But we do have that one Thoughtseize in hand that can take care of one of these enchantments.
I don't know if I've ever clicked that button ever, submit 0 to animate a Nissa land. That just feels so bad.
It sure does.
One thing sorry about that. One thing I do love that Reid is doing here is just not firing off that Thoughtseize yet. Just recognizing there's no real point yet until there's a way that Reid can affect Solemnity on the battlefield. So really, really good play there from Reid Duke.
Idyllic Tutor finding Gideon's Intervention. What is it going to name? What would you name in this situation?
I'd name Maelstrom Pulse. Yeah, that's the main card. I think Reid's looking right now to see is there any way I can possibly win? And I'm looking the same right now at the list. I think we can all take a look at Reid's list. I don't think so. I wouldn't be too shocked if we don't just see a concession right here going to the next game.
Yep, Gideon's Intervention.
Wow.
Preventing all damage that would be dealt by Maelstrom Pulse. Does that shut off?
Oh, but it's also can't be cast.
Can't be cast.
Yes. So I think
I don't think there's a way out here for Reid Duke. I think he's just got to scoop him on up and say GG to Kowalski.
Yeah. Is this really a GG, though? I don't know about that.
Well, you see, I have all these lands. I have this very powerful Planeswalker, and I have not much else to do with them. So
yeah,
I'm going to just send all my things to exile because I can't put counters on, and that's going to be the concession from Reid Duke. Nothing he can do to absolutely shut out of game number 1. And coming up after the short break, we are going to be joining them in sideboarding and see what happens in game number 2. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to the Zendikar Rising Championship. We are rejoining Grzegorz Kowalski and Reid Duke as they sideboard going into game number 2. So Corey, this deck from Kowalski is quite the prison deck, isn't it?
Yeah, it is really unique here. And if all these matches play out against Sultai like that game did, then Kowalski is going to be heavily rewarded for this deck choice because that looked bad for Reid, I must say.
Oh, yes, it really did. Now, we were just taking a look at the sideboard, and
Hmm.
we can see cards like Negate coming into the main deck configuration, as that's really the only way, aside from Maelstrom Pulse and Thoughtseize, to disrupt this combo. So you've just kind of got to cross your fingers, go as fast as you can. But this deck doesn't go super fast. So what is the plan here for Reid Duke?
No kidding. I was really hoping from Reid that he would have even like Wilt or one other non Maelstrom Pulse way to take care of an enchantment. And it really looks like there's only the two Maelstrom Pulses, plus, like you said, Thoughtseize and Negates to disrupt that combo. That's not much help, to be honest. So,
Mm.
like we said a little earlier, Reid was probably not expecting to play against this deck too much, but is not really prepared, even in the post board configuration.
So just a few final tweaks here from Reid, a few more considerations as we are getting ready to go into game number 2 here of round 2 of the Zendikar Rising Championship. Thank you so much for joining us wherever you are around the world. I hope you're having a wonderful day as we all get to enjoy some high-level Magic from the rivals and the MPL players, as well as the challengers.
Yeah, it's going to be a great day of Magic and just a great weekend. I'm just so excited to see all these MPL and Rivals players take on the up and coming challengers. It's going to be really cool to watch.
For sure.
Looking at the sideboard here from Reid, it's so brutal. He's thinking about any changes to make. And I look at those 15 cards on the sideboard and think, wow, they are all unplayable against Greg right here. But
Mm-hmm.
there's also some cards that are already in the deck that aren't great. So Gregor Kowalski's really taking advantage of how these decks are built right now in such a smart way.
He is at that, perhaps the dark horse of the tournament in this mono white 9 lives combo deck.
Yeah, I go with
As
the Dark Cat because of the
the
9
Dark
lives,
Cat,
right?
yes.
Yeah, there we go.
The Dark Cat, though, is Cauldron familiar.
Of course, of course.
Hmm.
Dang it, that one's already taken.
The other pesky kitty cat in the format. So I imagine with Kowalski's list, he's gonna have to mulligan pretty hard, right?
I would think so because you do have to have the early ways to disrupt these Sultai decks. And we already see a mull down to 5 there from Kowalski, a little unfortunate. But yeah, you got to be able to control what your opponent's doing, step number 1. And then you have a lot of time usually to draw into your other stuff. So yeah, I would agree.
Both players ready to get underway here, just deciding what 2 cards to send back is Kowalski. Take a look at Reid's hand. Pretty decent start. Growth Spiral turn 2 is always something you're aiming for. Shark
Exactly.
Typhoon and Hydroid Crisis, ways to dig through your library and hopefully find some extra cards to get this game over and done with really quickly. Hopefully we
Yeah,
won't see any dead Crises this turn.
no kidding. I'm really never complaining about a turn 2 growth spiral and making sure you can cast that 3rd land. That's really all these Sultai / 4-color decks are trying to do as their start.
Yeah, just ramp up, get to one of your payoff spells like Nissa Who Shakes the World, Hydroid Crises, and go from there.
Hopefully your Nissas this time can actually make some 3/3s.
Yeah.
That's probably what Reid Duke is hoping for a little bit more than that last game.
Yeah, Solemnity just delivers a beating to these creatures. I was wondering why the lands weren't coming to life, and then, oh, there we go. Solemnity doesn't let you do any of that.
I like that Reid Duke tried it right at the end there to make sure that he was understanding it as well, because that's what I thought happened. But I'm glad that he gave us the reassurance there.
Yeah, let's just double check. I would check too, but we're getting underway here now. Both players with decent opening hands after the mull to 5 from Kowalski. Sorceress Spyglass to kick things off. Gonna take a look and name a card. No activations from that card. Is it going to be a Nissa Who Shakes the World, perhaps?
Almost assuredly. Solemnity and Sorcery Spyglass are just 2 cards that pretty much shut down Nissa right straight away here. Reid still gets the static ability from Nissa, which doesn't completely shut it down. That's still valuable. But now with Sorcery Spyglass named on Nissa Who Shakes the World, you don't even get to tick up and ultimate it like we saw Reid from that last game.
Yeah. But even then, ultimating a Nissa just didn't have any effect on the game whatsoever once Kowalski had those enchantments down.
It made it look like Reid had a lot going on when really he could not do a single thing. So yeah, it was definitely an illusion at best.
I mean, even just looking at Kowalski's hand now, he's got all the pieces there. He's got Idyllic Tutor to go and find Solemnity. He's got the 9 lives, and he's got Gideon's Intervention to prevent Maelstrom Pulse from being cast. So, yeah, unless Reid Duke finds negates or Thought Seizes, he's in a bit of a pickle, naming Narset Parter of Veils.
Pretty interesting there to name that. I guess just having bigger plans for Nissa a little bit later. And I mean, neither of them are in the hand, so that makes sense. I think the only thing Kowalski is really just hoping for is just a land off the top. That'd be pretty huge to start getting those 3 drops down.
Yeah.
Oh! Why have Tutor in your deck when you just draw it, right, Ailey?
I mean, yeah, that's one way to do it. If that Solemnity is dealt with somehow, there's another way to find it. There's a Disdainful Stroke to prevent Gideon's Intervention from coming down. But struggling on the mana department a little bit as Kowalski needs to find a land here.
Now we are all set in the mana department here.
Mm-hmm. So Reid Duke is going to see the Solemnities come down and probably sigh a little bit in frustration. Nothing he can do about that one. But the next one, Gideon's Intervention, is something that Disdainful Stroke can deal with, as these Shark Typhoons are just doing their best to chip away at the life total here as quick as they can.
I love this sequencing from Kowalski, even on turn 2 here. Playing that Spyglass on Narset, just knowing that Solemnity already shuts down Nissa, among a lot of other things, and just saying, hey, Narset, Parter of Veils can find you those Maelstrom Pulses so effectively, just shutting that down, even if Reid didn't have it in hand.
Yeah. No consideration here for Scavenging Ooze. It is a creature to the battlefield that'll help just push through as much damage as possible. Another Mind Stone off the top. But we can fire off Gideon's Intervention. Decides to go for the Mind Stone instead. And here we go with 9 lives. Yeah. Please no negate, says Kowalski. And now all of a sudden, almost there.
Yeah, right now, 9 lives in play with Solemnity. So now Reid, trying to posture a little bit there to show that maybe he has a negate. But right now, the combo is locked up where Reid
does nothing.
Exactly, no damage at all. But the one clear thing that's helping Reid out here is the Disdainful Stroke for Gideon's Intervention, which Kowalski doesn't know about. So normally this would be game right here, but with that Disdainful Stroke, it is not.
Certainly not game, and also Idyllic Tutor in hand, able to go and find another copy of Gideon's Intervention. So it's not over yet. Kowalski's not in the clear just yet.
Definitely not. I'm looking at Kowalski's list right now, and we do see the one Gideon's Intervention in the main, but there is that other one in the sideboard. I would imagine Kowalski brought that in, but if for whatever reason he didn't, then we cannot fully get this combo going, but I would assume that's in the 75.
Yeah.
Or in the main deck, I should say.
Yeah. So Reid Duke still digging for that Maelstrom Pulse, needs to get Solemnity off this battlefield. But even then, we still get 9 lives with 9 lives. Funny enough, that's what the card does.
Yes. Yeah, that still takes a decent chunk of time before Reid can even start dealing damage again with these 3 creatures.
Yeah, they do nothing. They're just hanging out, an ooze. And, hello.
That's it. I mean, that's it already. Wow,
that's gonna be it. They're gonna go and find Gideon's Intervention, preventing damage from Maelstrom Pulse, or preventing it from being cast. And that's going to be GG here for Grzegorz Kowalski.
Just when we think Historic has settled on maybe some people leaning into the top 3, 4, or 5 decks, we just see 2 decks in the first 2 rounds that are just breaking the mold and just dominating already. This is so insane.
Turn too late for Thoughtseize. Not that it would have made much difference anyway in this matchup. So now Reid Duke is left floundering. There's no way for him to bounce that, destroy it, anything like that. Look at Kowalski. He's so pleased with himself.
I would be too when you assemble this. When you play a deck with cards that people don't even expect to see in standard, like 9 lives, and stuff like that just works out so smoothly like this against one of the best Magic players in the world with Reid Duke. You got to be feeling pretty good about yourself.
Oh, yes. So Reid's gonna do just take a look at the top. Let's see what we find. There's a Narset part of Veils. It doesn't matter. It's shut down. Elder Gargaroth doesn't get anything done. You can draw a couple cards when it attacks or blocks, but
yeah,
at this point, that's all she wrote.
We saw Reid Duke looking over to the right, no doubtedly looking at the list of his own and Kowalski's to see if, is there even a way I can try to mill him out? Is there anything that he can do? And it's just, there's nothing.
Kowalski's just playing the game of draw go now.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, you want to keep playing? That's fine by me.
Draw go, make a bunch of Castle Ardenvale tokens, just wait for Reid to do his things here. Yeah, and right here we see Reid just panning, double check, like, is there anything I can do? I wouldn't be too surprised if he reaches for the top right of his screen here pretty soon.
It's gonna swing in here anyway, draw a card. Let's see. It's a Zagoth Triumph. We can cycle that away. It's desperately looking for something, but there's nothing that exists. And we're gonna give a good game to Kowalski, winning that in a clean 2-0. Corey, what do you make of this deck? Is this the dark cat of the tournament, as you christened it?
This easily could be the dark cat of the tournament, because we even saw Kowalski mold to 5